What a January transfer window we've had so far. We're only halfway through the month and already we've had some blockbuster moves that have been laden full of drama, twists and turns and ups and downs. It felt like Mykhailo Mudryk was going nowhere but Arsenal for the last 6 months or so. I managed to see him play live when Shakhtar came to Glasgow to play Celtic in the Champions League, and I was blown away by the strength and the pace that this guy has. And I was leaving the game describing this kid as if Haaland was a Ukrainian winger. And I'm happy to reiterate that. He's very direct, very front-footed, and I think he's going to make a huge impression on the Premier League. At 22 years of age, it's not as if he's came totally out of nowhere. This guy's played in Champions League. This guy's a full international for the Ukraine. Now, his Champions League and international appearances are the ones I want to look at the closest, because the Ukrainian division, for the most part of the moment, is not really worth considering as critical data. And for both club and country, he's been a game winner. He's been a really influential player, helping Shakhtar finish third in the group. He can play at centre forward and he can play on the wing. He can play in left midfield as well. Graham Potter's Chelsea seem to change between two formations. The 4-2-3-1, where I think Mykhailo Mudryk, as a left winger, loves to play into these spaces here. He's got pace to burn. He's got the strength to really bully a lot of right backs in the Premier League. And the ball playing players that Chelsea have around defensive midfield and defence, I'm sure going to have a lot of fun getting Mudryk into these spaces on the break, on the counter-attack, with that real arrowhead, that real heat-seeking missile of a trajectory where he just wants to get towards goal, he just wants to get into the box. He's capable of cutting in and shooting on his right foot, as well as playing balls in for other players that are going to be breaking with him on the counter-attack as well. And even for any reason, if he was to be played in the kind of 3-5-2 shape, he could definitely be the, for lack of a better term, the Timo Werner in the team, the one that has pace, will always play on the shoulder, and when you're camped in and you're defending the opposition, can really break away and stretch up the pitch and have a teammate to come up and support in counter-attacks. But because he's going to be out here in the wide areas so often, no matter how many minutes he's going to clock up, I think this guy is capable of breaking 70s on the regular for Chelsea. And at £141 for the limited, with him being a midfielder card, it does feel a bit steep, okay, but he is still under 23, he is going to be playing for Chelsea in the Prem, probably Champions League and that kind of thing as well. And a midfielder playing in the wide areas who, even though you might not associate them with being a defensive player, but they can make interceptions, they can make tackles, they can win their duels. These defensive attributes that can be gotten in the wide areas from a very forward-thinking winger like Mudryk here makes him a great option. Now, I don't think anyone expected Joao Felix to be turning up at Chelsea, particularly around the details we've got for that loan. 6 months, no obligations to buy or whatever. And we've been waiting and waiting and waiting for Felix to get the minutes and come out. Now, he's debuted already and he's been sent off. He's served a suspension and we look forward to seeing him coming back. But Felix, for a guy at the age he's at and for how much of a tumultuous time he's had since being at Atletico Madrid, after such a prominent rise at Benfica and through Portugal, I've got no doubt about it that Felix will be bringing that real Simeone work ethic into the Premier League, and maybe the red card he's had already is testament to that. But he's great, fantastic link-up play, and with the time he's spent at Atletico Madrid, all the training and all the preparation has been going around a two-striker partnership, whether it be with him and Griezmann, him and Cunha, him and Correa. He's on the bench, he's not starting, whatever, but he's been practicing to play this way the whole time. And obviously when Chelsea do play in a front three, maybe Raheem Sterling, maybe Havertz, Mount, whoever else is going to come in here, he's good enough on the ball that he can come into these areas and have link-up play as well to also then help some of these guys get into better positions and help them attack better as a team overall. And the same way that people are getting excited again about Ryan Cherki playing for Lyon, I'm excited to see Felix in the Premier League, the biggest stage of them all, at one of the best teams. And, I know that this season so far hasn't been going great for Chelsea, but it's a talisman like Felix and maybe that kind of foil of Mudryk that might really change the second half of the season. Now, where does that leave Arsenal? It feels like Facundo Torres rumours will not go away, and he has been absolutely stellar for Orlando. And I think, he's maybe not quite Mudryk level. He's definitely not the same kind of player as Mudryk, but Arsenal pushing for the Premier League need top quality to come into the team at this point in the season. I wouldn't be surprised to see these links resurface again. But also, a player that was very close to joining Chelsea, Marcus Thuram, maybe now has no destination to find in this transfer window, and maybe he's in the form of his life at the moment in Mönchengladbach. Maybe he becomes an option for Arsenal in this window. Now, I find it very interesting that there's so much attention going around the contract extension for Facundo Pellistri of Manchester United. Now, this guy got some cards when he was at Alaves. He's under 23 until 2026. He appeared at the World Cup for Uruguay. I seen this guy play last season once or twice for Alaves. He didn't do anything in the games, but I was impressed by him. And it feels like now the Man United squad is maybe clearing out a little bit. and this guy's going to start to get an opportunity soon. So just one I thought I would throw at you just to pay attention to, because if they don't extend his contract, I would actually be very excited to see where he ends up, because he's had plenty of teams paying attention to his contract situation at Man United. Now, Dango Utara is transferred to Bournemouth, and I did not see this one coming at all. He has been in exceptional form in Ligue 1, and I think you can have a degree of confidence that he's got the potential to replicate these scores, to replicate this type of output in the Premier League. Now, I know what you're thinking, Quinny, Bournemouth are fighting against relegation. How can he produce these scores? Well, Lorient are not exactly a powerhouse in their division, and yeah, I know he's helped them to some good results here, at home to Lyon, at home to Nantes. They went on a nice little run here, Lorient, but they're not a team covered in talent. They're not a top of the table side that dominate a domestic campaign. Normally when transfers happen to the Premier League and we're worried about scores dipping down, it's normally when somebody's at a powerhouse team in Holland or Portugal or something like that, and the step up might be a bit different. Doing this at Lorient for me is not going to be that different to doing this for Bournemouth. The main thing that's probably going to go down is the frequency. I don't think we're likely to expect a run of form like this, but I would not rule it out. He's under 23 until 2026, and yeah, even if Bournemouth do get relegated, is that such a bad thing for this guy? Big John Duran has moved into Aston Villa as well, and this guy, I've seen this guy play a good couple of times for Chicago. He has the build, he's got the power to really work in the Premier League, and I think it's going to be a real case of if Aston Villa can give him enough opportunities and build a situation where you can maximise his strengths, because he's very physical, he's not shy, and he is a clinical finisher when given the opportunity. So I think this is one that I'm going to watch very eagerly, and I think the progress that Almiron has made at Newcastle over the last year or so has really helped Premier League clubs look at the MLS a little bit more for players like John Duran to bring in. So I think Aston Villa have potentially won a watch with a guy like this, because there was lots of teams around Europe interested in him, and who doesn't love a big powerful Colombian forward? There's a wee bit of the Juan Pablo Angels coming back to me right now. Now, two transfers that I think have the potential to be the transfer of the window. Pedro Porro is extremely hotly, tightly linked to Tottenham, and I think this guy would be the apex right back to play in an Antonio Conte Spurs. His scores are fantastic on Sorare, and I don't think you've got any worry of them getting worse under a Conte team, especially once they start improving defensively and start keeping some clean sheets. This guy is tailor-made to work for Antonio Conte, and I think if this transfer happens, especially if his price was to go back, it's something I would very much be looking to capitalise upon. With Pablo Sarabia joining Wolves, but if this goal also joins, having Cunha there as well, Matías Núñez is rumoured to be going to Liverpool in the summer. Wolves have potentially got like a 90s Bolton team on their hands, in my opinion. You know, this guy's not quite Yuri Djorkaeff, okay, but he's got really good scores from his time in Portugal, the time before that in Spain and whatever as well. And this guy is very capable, he's very direct, and he knows where the back of the net is. He's not shy about getting goals and trying to help his teammates out with assists. And this Wolves team is maybe only like one or two players away from being a real like cult hero kind of team, full of lots of studs and lots of players that are absolute ballers all across the team. I'm going to be looking more into Challenger Euro transfers in the next video on this kind of vibe. Challenger Europe is so big, I can't even think of where to begin. What I'd love you to do if you've enjoyed the video today is drop a comment down below of where in Challenger Europe we should start, what kind of congregation of divisions, clubs, players, whatever's going on. Drop it down below. I hope you've enjoyed this one, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.